afternoon, Chag Sameach. It's Sunday, June 12th. I'm Laura Cornfield, and this is a special IBA news bulletin broadcasting from Jerusalem. Security forces throughout the country remain on high alert on this extended Shavuot holiday weekend. Thousands of police officers are deployed in all major cities and entrances. Army troops also bolstered patrols in the West Bank to prevent any possible attacks. This in the aftermath of last week's deadly massacre at the Sarona market, in which 4 Israelis were killed and 16 others injured. As part of a series of initial responses to the attack, as well as preparation for the holiday, the Army sealed off the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. The full closure, which was imposed overnight Friday, will last until tonight, when the holiday ends. The entry ban does not include urgent humanitarian and medical cases. Restrictions are also imposed on Palestinian worshippers seeking to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Despite the general ban on Palestinian entry into Israel, tens of thousands of worshippers attended the first Friday prayers of the month-long Muslim holiday of Ramadan, and prayers at Jerusalem's Old City passed quietly without incident. In other news, IDF and border police forces destroyed the house of Murad Adayas, the 16-year-old Palestinian terrorist who murdered Israeli mother of 6, Daphne Meir, outside her home in Otniel in January. The demolition took place early Saturday morning in the West Bank village of Yatta. The terrorist parents refused to condemn their son's actions and accused Israel of collective punishment. The Hamas terror organization also denounced the house demolition, calling it a war crime. The group issued a statement vowing to continue its terrorist activity. According to the Islamist group, dozens of Palestinians have been detained since the deadly attack at the Tel Aviv Sarona complex on Wednesday. Hamas claimed the Israeli arrests will not achieve their goal and will only boost the determination of its members to fight what it called Israeli crimes. While in Yatta, where the army has sealed off access routes to the town since last week's deadly attack at the market, security forces also mapped out the homes of the 2 terrorists who perpetrated the Sarona attack in preparation for their likely demolition. In the wake of Wednesday's deadly attack at the Sarona market in Tel Aviv, the U.S. urged Israel to refrain from punishing innocent Palestinian civilians. This in response to Israel's actions following the attack, in which a decision was made to revoke some 83,000 Palestinian travel permits, as well as working permits of the family members of the 2 terrorists.
We understand the Israeli government's desire to protect its citizenry, or its citizens rather, after this kind of terrorist attack, and we strongly support that right. But we would hope that any measures it takes are designed to would also take into consideration the impact on Palestinian citizens, or civilians rather, who are just trying to go about their daily lives.
New information regarding the tragic Sarona terrorist attack is gradually being released. The 2 Palestinian terrorists arrived to Tel Aviv in a taxi from Beersheba. A joint investigation conducted by the Shin Bet security agency with the army and police has revealed. IBA's Margot Dudkevich has that story.
Cousins Muhammad and Khalid Muhammad from the West Bank town of Yatta, south of Hebron, left their homes armed with makeshift Carl Gustav semi-automatic rifles, which they purchased from a weapons dealer in their hometown, who has since been arrested by security forces. They made their way to Meitar on the Israeli side of the security fence after passing through a gap in the barrier. There, a Palestinian illegally working in Israel met them and drove them to the Bedouin town of Segev Shalom, southeast of Beersheba, where they changed into their formal attire, the suits and ties they were dressed in when they perpetrated Wednesday's attack. They took a cab from Segev Shalom to Beersheba and another to Tel Aviv's Sarona market. There they walked the surrounding streets before sitting in the Max Brenner Cafe, where after ordering dessert they began the shooting spree. Investigators believe the 2 received precise information concerning the site of the attack and were familiar with the area. After murdering 4 Israelis and injuring others, one of the terrorists was arrested, and the second terrorist, who was shot by a security guard at the scene, remains hospitalized in moderate condition. A statement from the Prime Minister's office said work to complete the gaps in the security wall in the Tarkumia Meitar area is set to begin later this month, noting a budget for the construction has already been allocated. Until the work is complete, the army will maintain a heightened presence in the area. Margot Dudkevich, IBA News.
The Defense Ministry on Friday informed the families of two soldiers, Aron Shaul and Hadar Goldin, killed in Gaza during Operation Protective Edge in 2014, that it is changing their classification to killed in action and missing or held captive. The soldiers' remains are being held by Hamas. Initially, Goldin's status was defined as killed in action because parts of his body were retrieved for burial in Israel. Shaul was defined as killed in action, whose place of burial is unknown. According to media reports, the Army's Manpower Directorate changed the status of at the request of the Goldin family in order to ensure that efforts to return Hadar's body and that of Shaul to Israel will continue. The family of Aron Shaul criticized the Army for failing to inform them of the change, saying they learned of the new classification from the media. Police have heightened their presence at beaches across the country, this in the wake of ongoing work sanctions by lifeguards who are ending their shifts at 2 p.m., including today, when thousands of beachgoers have taken to the nation's shores. On Saturday, an 83-year-old man drowned while swimming in the Dead Sea. Medics who were called to the scene attempted to resuscitate him but were unsuccessful. Two other people are in critical condition after nearly drowning, one at the Ashkelon beach and the other at the Palmachim beach south of Tel Aviv. It's called Operation Scroll, and they are looking for remnants of ancient Hebrew letters written on papyrus. It's a race against time as archaeologists move to find them before grave robbers get there first. IBA's Ari O'Sullivan has more.
Just getting there is the biggest challenge, high up on these cliffs in the Se'alim River, deep in the Judean desert. These caves are virtually inaccessible. This may be their greatest virtue, since it was in these caves that the ancient letters from the leader of the Second Revolt against the Romans were found decades ago. Refugees linked with Bar Kokhba, the legendary leader of the Second Revolt in the 2nd century, are believed to have hidden here.
This cave is quite large. It's about 160 meters long altogether, all its passages together, taken together. And it's one of the largest cliff caves of the eastern part of the Judean desert. Hence, it's one of the main caves to have been used in the past.
The conditions are tough, hot and full of dust. Volunteers wear face masks just to breathe as they sift the dirt in search of even the smallest findings.
I came here because I like history, and our country is full with ancient things that we didn't find yet, and I would like to help with that.
It's not believed that the people who inhabited these caves actually lived there for an extended period, but rather used them as hideouts from the Romans.
We find here mainly finds that reflect the daily activities of the people who were taking refuge here during the Roman period, during the Bar Kokhba revolt, and also taking possibly refuge as well during the earlier periods.
Because of the dry desert climate, articles like scrolls and even organic finds like rope and textiles survive. And this phenomena is exactly what brought these caves to the attention of the Antiquities Authority. A few years ago, rumors surfaced that a precious ancient scroll mentioning the Bar Kokhba rebels was found by grave robbers originating in these caves. The Unit for the Prevention of Theft of Antiquities, a sort of official Indiana Jones unit, nabbed some grave robbers in the act and have moved to excavate these caves before others will completely pillage anything that is left of this national heritage.
These looters that work here are experts. I mean, experts for finding scrolls. They are coming from the West Bank, from Hebron area. They go with ropes, they go down with ropes, they're experts, that's what they do. That's what they're looking for, these scrolls, and we are going, of course, after them, looking for what they are looking for and looking for them, to catch them. This is the game, like you said, like a cat and a mouse.
For now, it's hoped that the excavations will uncover anything that may still be hidden in these caves, but with hundreds of similar caves, it seems there will always be a chance more treasures will be left to uncover. Aria O'Sullivan for IBA News.
And a source of pride for Israel is the construction of the longest and highest glass-bottom bridge in the world. No, not here in the Jewish state, but in southern China. The flagship project is the brainchild of architect and designer Professor Chaim Dotan, already a recipient of a number of world prizes. The bridge will be open to the public next month and will offer visitors brave enough to walk on it stunning views of the national park. And in a show of solidarity with the victims of the Sarona market attack, hundreds of Israelis from across the religious and political spectrum went without sleep overnight and attended a special White Night Shavuot event at the WeWork complex in Sarona, right near the site of Wednesday's attack. Leading politicians, entertainers, and religious voices debating Jewish wisdom took part in the special all-nighter Tikkun event, which focused on a wide range of spiritual and philosophical topics. Among the participants were MK Stav Shafir, Michael Oren, and Tamar Zamberg, comedian Benji Lovett, and rabbis Gary Sheva and Shlomo Chayan. The happening also featured a memorial for the 4 victims of the attack. Event organizer Dana Sender-Mula of the Jewish Women's Renaissance Project stressed that in the face of terror, it was time to come together and connect. The warm but comfortable weather outside, together with the extended Shavuot holiday weekend, was a great combination for nature lovers. Tens of thousands of people visited the country's national parks, nature reserves, and forests. Many others spent the night camping out next to the Sea of Galilee in the north. As is customary, the nation's kibbutzim and moshavim opened their gates and hosted guests for traditional holiday celebrations, including dancing and spring feasts featuring delicious dairy products, fruits, and vegetables. However, don't be fooled. Comfortable weather conditions won't last long. The forecast is calling for a significant rise in temperatures. Tomorrow is expected to be much hotter, including Sharav heat wave conditions in most parts of the country. Here's a look at the highs and lows for the next 24 hours. And that's all for this news.